Evil!
Hey everyone, so after watching the intro, you're probably asking yourself, what the f is this? I know that's the question I was asking myself after the first time I watched this. How is it that a cartoon based on a 30-year-old video game has a bratty baby that's more horrifying than Norman Price if he had a baby with 3DW? Let me explain. When it comes to my Patreon commissioned reviews, I tend to get some pretty weird requests. Don't get me wrong, I love talking about cartoons I've never heard of before, but sometimes I feel like my patrons are trolling me. Case in point, my lovely patron John Skellington asked me to take a look at Donkey Kong Country, a bizarre fever dream of a cartoon based on the 1994 SNES game of the same name. Now, I wasn't born yet when the video game first came out, but after doing about 10 minutes of research, I found out this game was a massive critical and financial success. Within 2 weeks of its release, the game sold more than 1 million copies and grossed over $15 million. It even outsold the highest grossing film at the time, which was Tim Allen's The Santa Claus. That means more kids were staying at home to play a 16-bit game than going to see one of the most iconic Disney Christmas films of all time. In 1995, the Kids' Choice Awards introduced a new award for favorite video game. Donkey Kong Country took home the Orange Blimp 2 years in a row. Given how successful the game was, it only made sense that a cartoon would be rushed out to cash in on its popularity. But unlike other cartoon video games at the time, which were primarily 2D hand-drawn affairs, the makers of Donkey Kong Country used performance capture to digitally render the characters in CGI. This was the first cartoon to use mocap for a majority of the animation, and dear God does it show.
Crystal coconut.
That's not to say there weren't any benefits to using this technology. One of the pros of using motion capture is that it allowed the showmakers to produce a lot of episodes very quickly. While traditional animation usually requires at least 2 months to keyframe a single episode, the animators of Donkey Kong Country were able to get it done in less than 2 weeks. Though in hindsight, maybe they should have taken that extra time to make sure the show didn't look like 3D nightmare fuel. For all the show's shortcomings, the one thing I didn't expect to find out was that this cartoon has its very own version of DW. Yep, the AI abomination known as Baby Kong made his debut with a 20th episode of the series, titled Baby Kong Blues, and by the end of this review, you'll see why this bonkers baby should have been thrown out with the bathwater. Also, thanks again to said patron for commissioning this video. If there's a cartoon you want me to talk about, you can sign up at patreon.com/metnef to become one of my top tier patrons, where you'll get early access to all of my uncensored videos, as well as exclusive content not available on my main channel. If money's tight, you can still help out my channel by leaving a like and comment telling me which cartoon brat I should tear into next. Anyway, please remember to subscribe. When we hit 60,000 subscribers, I'll finally review the adventures of Elmo in Grouchland, and if you want me to cover that sooner rather than later, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you can know the moment I post it. Let's not waste any more time and delve right in. This video is brought to you by viewers like you. Thank you. Make sure to subscribe and help get this video to 4,000 likes. King K. Rool chews out his 2 lackeys for once again failing to steal the crystal coconut. Though what do you expect when your lead henchman sounds like Porky Pig if he got spit roasted by Uncle Remus and Uncle Ruckus?
I'm already working on plan B.
The king says he needs the coconut so he can have a happy ending for his memoir. He tells General Clump to try again, though I can't tell if he's talking to him or his pepperoni tits. Meanwhile, Candy and Dixie are looking after what looks like a pile of sewer sludge that wished to be a real boy. Actually, this is Baby Kong. Whose baby is it, you may ask? Well, the show never actually tells us. Though my personal theory is that Captain Donkey Dick over here had his way with a piranha plant, and the resulting bastard got flushed down Mario's drainpipe. Donkey Kong spots the abhorrent abortion and doesn't immediately throw a barrel at it. Don't taunt it, you'll just make it madder. Donkey tells the girls how he and his best friend Diddy are on their way to a crazy party, and invites them to come along. The girls tell him they can't since they're stuck watching Baby Kong, and they don't have any white outfits. The guys claim that watching a baby is no big deal, even for a girl. Gee, boys thinking that something is menial woman's work? Never seen that in a 90s cartoon before.
He's just a baby.
Hold up, did this motherfucker just blink his pupils? Candy tells the boys they can take over babysitting since they think it's so easy. And yeah, I could make a joke how some animator was desperate to give 90s kids the most confusing boner they've ever had, but I'm way more concerned by the fact that Candy's jean shorts are sewn into her legs. Diddy is bummed they can't go to the party, so I'll have to wait to get his Kong dong schlonged. Donkey Kong says watching a baby will be way more fun than that. Oh, you poor clueless bastard. Baby Kong almost immediately goes into tantrum terror mode. The dastardly diaper load cries at the top of his lungs and tears the boy's hut to shreds. Diddy tells him to calm the kid down, so Donkey Kong does what any responsible caretaker would do and yells at the baby to shut the f*** up. Though honestly, it looked like Donkey Kong was about to cold cock this kid in the jaw. And never have I been so let down that a cartoon character didn't punch a baby in the face. The baby finally shuts up, and the boys congratulate themselves on their excellent parenting skills. But oopsie doopsie, it looks like Baby Kong has run off. Isn't it nice when a problem resolves itself? For some inexplicable reason, the two chase after the inbred infant, who's apparently immortal, since it refuses to die, no matter how many bridges it jumps off. The boys chase Baby Kong all over the island, and alright, let me see if I can explain this next bit without sounding like I've lost my mind. Baby Kong bounces off a tree, which launches him in the air and into a plane. The plane takes off with the boys hanging onto the wings, which ends up crashing into the side of a snowy mountain. The guys chase the baby down the mountain in a giant snowball, before Baby Kong climbs into a rocket and launches himself into space. And you want to know what the real kicker is? As crazy bananas as that sequence of events sounds, it's made even crazier by the fact that the whole sequence is a goddamn musical number.
Careful, Baby Kong. No, not again!
This is how I know the show wasn't made by AI. Even a robot couldn't dream up this big of a mind f***. Donkey and Diddy track the rocket to the middle of the forest, only to find the baby is nowhere to be found. And again, I'm not sure why we're rooting for these two to find the blocky booger eater. Things go from bad to worse as it appears Baby Kong launched himself directly into King K. Rool's lair. Please, please, please tell me this scene ends with him eating the baby. That's the only humane way this episode can end. King K. Rool takes the baby prisoner, but not before Baby Kong tries to bite off General Clump's finger. The king plans to use the teething terror as leverage, right before Donkey Kong shows up to bite his face off. The king says he can have the baby back once they bring him the crystal coconut. Donkey Kong says nuts to that, until the king threatens to clap blast his ass back to level 1. The meat-headed monkey plans to steal the coconut from Cranky Kong. He sneaks into Cranky's hut, while Diddy distracts him by showing him how to do the Diddy Bop.
You are really good at this!
Donkey Kong successfully swipes the coconut, while Diddy tricks Cranky into breaking his own back. Back at the lair, Baby Kong continues his tirade as he tries to smash Clump and Crusher into a pair of gator boots. The king delights in the baby's reign of chaos, while his left eye tries to run away from his face. The boys return with the coconut, only to find the king has backed out of the deal. The killer croc decides to make Baby Kong his heir, and vows to turn him into the most evil being on the island. I think the kid already beat you to it. Instead of putting up a fight, Donkey Kong decides to leave the baby with the villain. He's about to tell Candy the truth, but the busty baboon wrongfully assumes the baby is fine, and ends up stroking the man's ego to full mast, among other things.
You're everything I ever dreamed of in an ape.
Because what could be more attractive than a big, strong ape taking care of a sexy little baby?
I'm a sexy little baby.
Diddy says the only way they can get Baby Kong back is if they swap him out with another baby. And since baby dolls are apparently not a thing in this world, Diddy agrees to dress as a baby to fool K. Rool. I don't see how this could possibly backfire. Diddy tells his friend he owes him big time, though this wouldn't be the first time someone owed Diddy a favor. Back at the lair, King K. Rool is reading from his memoirs, and the book is so boring that it's literally putting Baby Kong to sleep. The babbling baby drifts off to sleep, and the show decides that now is the perfect time for another song.
I'm looking for a prince, someone who can follow in my claw prints.
The king sings about how he's happy to finally have a son, and no joke, this song actually kinda slaps.
You're my wit to evil one.
Say what you want about his singing, but it's still better than anything from the Snow White remake. The henchmen are lulled to sleep by the song, and the king yells at them to wake up, which ends up causing Baby Kong to start crying again. Terrific. The bawling baby is on the verge of bursting everyone's eardrums when General Clumps gets him to sleep by talking about his days in Nam.
You could saute seaweed on my tail, it was so hot.
Donkey Kong sneaks back in and successfully swaps out Baby Kong for the imposter toddler. Baby Diddy fools the guards and acts like he's hungry, so General Clumps offers to breastfeed him. Thankfully, the guys get caught before that can happen, and the apes run off with a crying baby. They try to escape, but end up losing Baby Kong in the mine tunnels. Everyone chases after him, and the guys are somehow able to outrun a whole squad of mine cars. The baby falls directly into K. Rool's lap, literally, and the agitated alligator declares himself the victor.
Nobody wins when a baby's involved.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Donkey Kong points out that the baby is an absolute nightmare, which seems to be the main reason the king likes him. Maybe the kid really is better off growing up in the lair. It would seem all is lost until Donkey Kong remembers K. Rool's one weakness, rigid xenophobia. He reminds the king that no matter what he does, Baby Kong will always be a dumb, hairy, smelly monkey. Their specious species reasoning gets to the king, and he banishes Baby Kong from his lair, but not before getting pelted by a horde of bananas.
Ow! Oh! Oh! Ow! Oh! Ow!
Where did all those bananas come from? Once again, the day is saved thanks to racism. The guys leave with the troublesome toddler as K. Rool starts to miss the idea of having a son. Just then, he hears a baby crying and assumes Baby Kong has come back. He checks the bassinet, only to find General Clumps dressed as a baby and demanding to be treated like an infant. Clumps, you kinky motherfucker. Back at home, Diddy insists they tell the girls the truth. Go figure. Donkey Kong says there's no need, as he apparently has no qualms with lying to his friends' faces. The girls return home and seem to be none the wiser. In fact, they're so impressed that they insist on making the boys Baby Kong's full-time babysitter. Donkey Kong sporadically grows a conscience and tells the girls the truth. So you would think this is the part where he gets punished for lying, right? Nope. Turns out the girls think he's just making it up to get out of babysitting. Though to be fair, if someone tried to describe the plot of this episode to me, I'd also think they were full of shit. Looks like Donkey Kong gets to have his banana and eat it too, until his best friend decides it's time to call in his favor. Diddy tells him he needs to testify on his behalf, and gives him a script to read off on the witness stand. So remember, kids, if you see a baby that looks like it crawled out of the deepest pit of hell, do whatever you can to send it back there. If you offer to babysit, be prepared to have your home torn to the ground, and don't be surprised if you have to chase the repellent rugrat all over town to keep it from killing itself. If you end up losing the baby, consider cutting your losses since the kid wasn't that great in the first place. If it ends up in the arms of someone you hate, let the little brat be their problem. Don't go around stealing random crap and dressing your friends up as toddlers to barter for your baby, since the kidnapper will probably give him back after spending 5 minutes with the ankle-biting bastard. But if he doesn't, you can always rely on good old-fashioned racism to win the day. And don't worry about being held accountable for your actions, since your friends probably won't even believe the truth if you tell it to them. And while Baby Kong might be the stuff of nightmares, it's important to remember that at the end of the day, it's just a cartoon.
Wait! Is there a cartoon you want me to talk about? Patrons who join my $10 tier can pick which shows I cover on It's Just a Cartoon. There's a limited number of slots available, so sign up now.